This week, before the derecho hit Montgomery County, this show led a lively discussion about who's to blame for power outages. But in the aftermath of the storm that swept through the region, causing widespread damage and discomfort, our discussions that evening, they only began to scratch the surface. Not one of us living in this area was spared from the aftermath of the storm, and we all have personal stories to tell about the tree that just missed our house or the relatives who needed to be rescued. And all of these stories are part of the fabric that makes the event so compelling. If you had all ventured out, it was shocking, the breadth of the devastation. And now as the pieces slowly are put back in place, there are questions. Many, many questions are being asked. Was it foreseeable? How well did Pepco, and don't forget, BG&E, how well did they respond? And how well did the county respond? And most importantly, who's to blame? Mark, you generally have a broad perspective on these types of things. The nature of this was that there was a derecho, and it wasn't some ordinary storm. So taking that into consideration, what did we learn and what do we conclude from this storm?
Let me give credit where credit was due. A year ago, Ike Leggett appointed a commission to look at Pepco's reliability. It was headed by Norman Augustine, who was the chairman of, former chairman of Lockheed Martin. That report did an excellent job of laying out, frankly, the failures of Pepco in good times, bad weather, good time, bad weather. That's something the Public Service Commission should have taken a look at, and they have no excuse for claiming that they weren't aware of Pepco's reliability problems.
Rich, Newt Gingrich in Friday's Washington Post points out that the failures exposed by the storm demonstrate that the vulnerabilities of the entire electrical grid, and that we should focus our attention on the bigger picture and not just get caught in the blame game.
Well, the bigger picture is Newt Gingrich is never right on anything. He never has been, he never will be. But getting to your question, there are some problems with our power grid. And there's a lot of talk now about undergrounding wires. And I happen to live in a neighborhood that does have underground utilities, and we were out till Wednesday. I mean, we were out almost a week. So that's not nearly as simple as some people think it is.
Susan, some suggest that there is an easy fix to the problem, that is bury all those underground cables. But who's going to pay for all that? That's pretty darn expensive.
The people who use Pepco would be the people who pay for that. And it, as Rich said, it's not as perfect as what you think, because the feeder lines going into these neighborhoods go down too. And since 1969, every new community that's built has to have undergrounding. But the long-term effects of what will happen underground to these wires, one never knows. And people go in when they're building or constructing, and they dig in, and it's actually more difficult to fix wires if they're underground, and the cost is just monumental.
Jerry, politicians local and state are tripping all over themselves trying to pin the donkey tail on the utilities. Isn't that just pettifoggery?
Government should do what only government can do and spend their time on that. They shouldn't spend their time on bag taxes, vending machines, and water bottles. And if they address that, then they would address issues like transportation and power lines. That's what they should spend their time on. This event was unusual, but it's not unusual for us to lose our power over lesser events.
It's a hot time in the whole town tonight.